All right, good morning, everyone. This is the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors meeting for September 9th. We're going to start the meeting with a public hearing on amended ATV UTV ordinance. Could I have a motion to go into the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Sandquist, a second from Drish. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so have you guys received any comments about the change in any ordinance?
Let's see if anybody on has
Yeah, anybody in here want to
comments.
talk about it? Anybody online want to talk about the ATV, UTV ordinance? Okay. Hearing no public comments, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion from Drish and a second from Sandquist to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. So again, have you had any comments from anybody, supervisors?
No.
No, I haven't either. I know Ralph has been very interested in this, but I don't think you've had any complaints or any comments or anything like that with it the whole time. So,
Well, and again, the whole reason for this is because of a change in the state law.
right.
So
Say it again, I didn't hear.
the whole reason is a change in the state law that went into effect in July.
Right. Many of the things are going to stay the same as far as when you purchase an ATV, you have to register it through the recorder's office here at the courthouse to make it legal that way with the state. So it's fully registered in order to be able to drive it on the roadways. But beyond that, we aren't selling tags on an annual basis any longer for ATVs and UTVs to be on the roadways. You still need to at least follow some safety regulations. If you're driving in the city, it needs to have a slow moving vehicle sign on it. If you're not driving in the city, I don't think it's required by state law at this point in time, but they're still supposedly considered to be slow moving vehicles. And so people ought to at least have the standard safety precautions in place for something like that. So, all right. Do I have a motion to approve the ATV, UTV ordinance as changed?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this will move it from the third through the final reading. And it will be enacted as soon as it's signed after the meeting. So I have a motion from Sandquist, a second from Drish. All those
Either way.
other way. Okay. I have a motion from Drish and a second from Sandquist. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and we now have a new ATV UTV ordinance for Jefferson County. So we'll move on then to acknowledge the minutes from the previous meeting of August 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Sandquist, a second from Drish. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So that's approval of the minutes. We'll move on now and meet with our county engineer, Mr. Dwayne Hines. Welcome.
Good morning, supervisors. It's a short week for the road department since the crews are working 410s. They'll just have 3 this week. We'll be doing patching on Libertyville Road. And then we have all graders out running. We're hauling rocks. We're hauling crushed stone with 2 belly dumps to feed the graders as needed.
Yeah.
Hauling from whichever quarry happens to be closest at this time. We finished hauling rock on Nutmeg last week. That's all ready for next spring. We rented the road reclaimer from Drish Construction to do Larch. And we got that all pulverized, recompacted, and bladed and in shape. And I rode in on it Friday morning. It's a lot nicer than it has been for quite some time. So that'll be in decent shape until spring. And I'm going to double check with our geotechnical consultant on that to see if we can't lessen the Portland cement additive percentage on that, because there's more asphalt in that asphalt in the subgrade than we thought there was. So we're getting more stability out of that, but we still need to stiffen it up.
Mhm.
Other than that, we're out patching potholes and using the total patcher. Just basically flipping a coin and going to a road and going to work. Got a lot of roads that need love, and we're trying to do the best we can. From the design and project standpoint, we're in the boring part where we're just doing the cleanup on the projects that are done and the preliminary work on the projects to be done. The nutmeg and large project goes for bid on the 21st
Okay,
this month. So we should have results on that. Excuse me, the 20th.
20th, yeah.
So we should know for the meeting of the 26th who our apparent low bidder is and how we did compared to estimate.
Okay,
I've been watching the DOT lettings, and the prices had gone up. They're coming down some. So I'm hoping I'm still in the general ballpark on that.
okay,
That's really all I got, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
all right. Thank you, Dwayne. All right, we're gonna get an update from the Progressive Housing Committee, Sean Morris.
Yeah. So Sean and I had a
You wanna
conversation
join
last
us,
week.
please?
And there's a lot of changes going on there, and he's got a good insight, and he's also on the board.
Yes,
Yeah, so don't quote me on anything I say today, but I know like last fall, we discussed this, if it was even necessary to keep this corporation in place. And just in July, Dick Reed, who was kind of oversaw this all for several years and was one of the last people, and I think you should consider him still on this board.
I know that he doesn't want to do it.
Just for this transition that I talk about today, he's still corresponding, and he had gotten some mail in July with the corporation or the partnership that
RSM, I think.
basically had helped fund Jackson Point years ago. And so he thought we should have a meeting based on this latest correspondence. So
Good.
Myself, Dick, and Rick McCurran met in July. And then we called the investment bank that had some of the partners that were involved with the construction or the funding of this Jackson Point project. And their benefits that they were receiving as far as subsidies or tax write-offs or whatever you want to call it. That's why I say I don't know all the specifics. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's going on. Have ended. Some of the other investor partners are no longer getting the benefit that they originally were. So they're wanting to withdraw from the partnership. And this is a process with banks and lawyers that is in progress. And I haven't talked to Dick since that last meeting, but
I called him after you and I talked.
okay. So if I get something wrong, just chime in. But basically, there needs to be a partnership, and there needs to be our Progressive Housing Board or corporation, whatever you want to call it, to partner with the management company, because the way this was all funded, it's just a requirement. There has to be a partnership. And so going forward, and I think you're right. I think Dick and Rick are ready to get off of this board. They're willing to get this process, the transition process done where these other partners withdraw. And I think there's a little bit of a legal fee that the Keyway management, Dick was going to see if they could cover that for the transfer of, to Keyway and the Jefferson County Public Housing Corporation, whatever we're calling that. And then there will still need to be, like, I don't know if it's a minimum of 3 board members. There's some
Right.
details I don't know yet. And I think maybe there's some paperwork somewhere from the original setup of this, but I'll get with Dick on that. And then we talked about, and I won't name any names this morning till we talk to him, but there's some other, like myself, I have a brother that lives in that facility. And there's some other families in the area that probably have some people that would be good new members to replace Rick and Dick. And so as we get through this, I think we will contact them and then myself and these other new members can kind of go forward with it in the future. And I don't think it's anything the county's going to be putting money in on or anything like that. I think it's the management company takes care of the maintenance of the building and the collection of rent and all that. And they're the ones that I think make some money off of it, but we're just kind of there as a partner so that it can exist the way it was set up to.
Okay.
Yeah, and so after you and I talked, I called Dick just to see what he knew because he filled in a couple gaps.
Okay.
One of them, he said Jefferson County now owns the Jackson Point Apartments, so we need to get it off the tax rolls. And he gave me the number of the guy in Iowa City that's, I believe, part of the management company. And of course, this all happened, I think it was Friday, so going into a holiday. I talked to the guy briefly and then he sent me his email. So what I'll do is I'll email him, copy you. And are you technically on that committee?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't. The paperwork was coming through for Dick and I kept up
Okay,
with it that way.
okay,
Ryan, the Seal Region auditor, she went through this similar situation with a building in Des Moines County. And where it went from the private
okay.
group, now it's owned by the county. And she may have some insight that you guys can get from her as well
okay.
on what was going on.
And so it sounded like, if I understood correctly, that when this all started out, this management group could get some tax credits, and
Mhm.
I guess they've done a good job of managing it. And so basically what I'll do is I'll email him and introduce you two so you can talk and
Okay.
we'll figure out what we need to do.
Sure.
But yeah, it sounds like that we, as a county, technically own the building now, and so we need to get it
Well,
off
if
the
that's
tax
the case,
rolls.
then yeah, we need to talk to Ryan so we know what our responsibilities are now.
If it's Des Moines County owns, would that be the Des Moines County auditor or Seal Region?
Well, it would be the auditor.
Okay,
Through
that's-
her, isn't she in the auditor's office? down
No,
there, or
Ryan's
is-
the CEO for Seal, but they're
Oh,
probably involved in
Okay.
it.
I thought she had
She might know about it.
But she'll know about it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'd give her a call.
And then something about Public Housing Authority, is that technically what it is then?
That's.
Well, that's the name of our, I
Group.
have heard or seen
Okay.
a couple different, it says progressive housing, public housing.
Authority.
I don't know what the original name was,
Okay,
but there needs to be a little board that oversees that Jackson Point.
okay. And then, so yeah, I'll send an email to
Yeah.
that gentleman and introduce you to, and we can go from there and see what needs to happen. And then just as FYI, he also said, once you get the board figured out, you'd make a good chair.
Oh, really? Well, I will say I know a lot more than I did before I met with them. We hadn't met really since you put me on that board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So, I mean, I knew Dick was kind of involved with it from way back when and had continued to, if there was a project or something, that someone would contact him. And I know they put a new roof on it a couple of years ago and those kind of things. But, and I assume the management company will continue to be the main
Yeah.
responsible party for
Do you know
keeping
how
the
many
building up.
people live there or how many apartments?
Well, I was thinking, like I said, don't quote me, but
Yeah.
I think there's 8 apartments.
Okay.
There's 2 buildings
Mhm.
and there might be 10, but
Okay.
I'm picturing it in my head and I think there's 8 in each building. And then
Okay.
there's like a little lobby. If you've never been in there, they're a nice thing to have in the community
Oh, and
option.
here's a little bit of history. He said Jackson Point was acquired when the county home sold. And they took it on a trade-in, something with John Kuster. So that's how we got Jackson Point, was when the county home sold.
I see.
Mhm.
So. All right,
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you.
thank you, Sean. Appreciate the update on that. Now we've got on here, discuss grant agreement with Natel. That just came from Chauncey the other day.
Yeah.
Unless you've had a chance to review it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know how much discussion.
Basically, I've been talking with Matt Lafferty, who took this Dave Luneman's place that we met with early on in this whole broadband
Mhm.
process. We met with him via Zoom. And he's the person that the state contracts with to help counties and other entities interested in broadband to provide us information. So what he sent yesterday actually was some ideas for terminology for completion
Mhm.
of a contract. And so I brought the contract that Chauncey sent us last week. And so some of the changes, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we'll have to figure out, and maybe I just give these to Chauncey. He suggested that we put in there where it says the grantee agrees to build out broadband infrastructure work that will cover the county. He said that we include the phrase at the physical address level. That's some terminology they're using in some of the contracts. And then this Matt and I talked about this part about the 75,000 for the up to 5,000 per customer for hard to reach. And again, I mentioned this before, I think we just need to take that paragraph out and just say, we're providing this money. And if you pull up, and again, we all have copies of this,
Mhm.
the email from, this one's September 1st. It looks like we're actually looking at around 963 homes that are really underserved right now in the rural areas. And so there'd be 768 within the 25 and 35 foot towers. And those should be, one would think, by what Mike said, able to serve. And when we get into the 195, that'll be more difficult. I just think we need to talk to him about what's a reasonable number of those. I don't want to get into, this $75,000, again, we're using this ARP money for this, and we need to have some reasonable expectations
Right.
that they make. It's like, I don't like the 75,000 draw on the line there. It's kind of like either you can fulfill this or you can't give us a percentage. And it looks like based on his thing, they can do up to 99% of the houses. So,
Mhm. And that's with the 750,000, right? Or
well, it's 774, but,
yeah,
and we haven't pushed back on that. I know some counties have pushed back on that a little. So I think that's where I think we have some room to negotiate these outcomes.
Mhm.
That if we're going to do this, we want to see these homes served
Sure.
in a,
And that can be a benchmark that's put in there as well
a-
for that.
and I don't know how we measure that exactly. I've got some ideas based on what he sent yesterday, but again,
Mhm.
he just sent
Did we
it.
do anything like that for the daycare center? Expectations, like serving
No,
poverty?
but they're a
guidelines.
nonprofit and NATEL's a for-profit, so I see
Yeah.
that as a difference.
I'm not sure I do with them.
Okay. I don't know.
expectations should be the same for anybody.
Right, and we'll continue to work with
Yeah.
Chauncey
Yeah,
when it comes to this as well. If you get your ideas there, you
Yeah,
can talk
I'll give them to him.
about them.
Okay.
Give them to him and see what he believes or.
I mean, I think we
when it
need to
comes
move
the
forward on
contract.
it. I just think, the
yeah,
devil's in the detail.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think Chauncey's the best guy to look it over because then
Yeah,
the legal part's
Yeah.
done,
yep, exactly.
So,
so.
All right, any other discussion on that?
no.
No? Okay, we'll move on then to make committee reports.
Only thing I have is Barnyard Bash is Friday night,
Okay,
Yeah,
4:30, what, to 8:30, 9?
something like that.
something like
Please
that.
go out there. It should be fun. The weather on Saturday is gonna be 70 degrees, so maybe Friday night will be kind of cool too.
Okay, wear a jacket.
Yeah.
I've had to do that the last 2 nights in a row over there.
Yeah, I bet you have.
Midnight gets awful cold.
Yeah.
So,
I had EMA, Art, you're here. Anything from there?
What sticks out with that? Nothing really. He brought up the fact that he wanted to do something with the National Weather Service, update the sirens.
To go with
3 in
that?
Fairfield and 4 out in the county. Access to Davie, Lockery.
So that it would automatically go.
Yeah, so apparently they would be responsible for setting off the sirens. It would take it out of the hands of the dispatcher.
Of course, that comes with a cost. What was it,
Yeah,
20
it's
some?
approximately cost was 25,000.
okay.
I just upgraded all the sirens on the sheriff's budget here this last budget year.
Yeah, they're all in working order now, aren't they?
Electronics and everything and batteries, yes, they're all working and they were set off this weekend.
Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
So, which is mainly set off from the console and dispatch. So I think that what he presented was something that the responsibility goes with National Weather Service, meaning they can pick and choose what sirens go off. So if we have an eastern storm with tornado warning going through or tornado, whatever, they can set off block. So they don't all have to go off at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I think is what he was presenting.
Yeah,
Other than that, on the meeting, EMA, I don't think there was much. You attended your 901 meeting also,
mhm.
which we're discussing, some of our fire departments around the county upgrading radio communications. I recently last budget year purchased some radios to upgrade mine. He does have money in the budget to upgrade some of the fire departments, going with the new mobiles in the fire trucks.
And again,
Yeah,
that's to
upgraded ones.
increase the communication across the different entities.
Right. Right now, we're still operating on the Bolton Tower. We did an upgrade a few years ago, which has increased greatly the communications with the polar tower and stuff. So we're still gonna operate on that VHF, but upgrading some of the actual radios, the mobiles that are in the fire trucks, which I'm doing that now in some of our vehicles, and then the actual portable that you carry on. So it should increase it. So those were the 2 things that stuck out to me in the 2 meetings. So
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else? Dee?
No, but I was just thinking, Susie, on your question from the, what we did with the childcare, I guess the difference is, up until you started on the ECI, I was very much involved in that whole process through Early Childhood Iowa and on the steering committee here. So we had 22 board members that were in the planning group for that. So it was a lot of people, including current providers, involved in that whole
Sure.
process.
And
So
my
that's
whole
a
thing is that
difference.
we just kind of treat everybody the same.
No, that's a
It's
good
as simple
idea.
as that.
That's a difference, yeah.
Okay. I didn't have any meetings that I attended last week. I was over at Old Treasures working quite a little bit. For
Doing
Columbus.
community service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Community service. So that's where I was at. We'll move on then to public comments. Do we have any public comments from anybody here in the room with us?
I do.
You do?
If nobody else
Okay.
has any.
All
So we
right,
got
we'll
Darth
start
Vader.
with
Come
Mark
up
this
here. Okay. Well, I understand our tour later today is canceled, but that's fine. We do want to give you an overview of what we're talking about, some of our needs. You know, we got a lab in there now and the evidence and the storage, you know, that, you know, what we're going to need. The reason I want to talk a little bit about it was I did come back for your meeting when you met with your architect here at the courthouse. I reached out. Michael Nolan did call me back,
Right.
and he has submitted a design service proposal. And the way I understand it's the initial site visit and stuff. It's not like your full plans. So whether we can get this tour in or not, and whether or not you want to put it on the agenda to discuss this design service proposal, to whether or not I should start it, kick it off, and have it done with him. Because if this does move forward, I will need at least that part of it. And then it's probably not as far as long as your bathroom project and your north entrance.
Right.
You're probably all the way through the design. This
Yeah,
is just the initial
we're
one.
gonna have initial stuff put out for bids here within the next week for that project, those two projects.
So the design service proposal that he sent, the way I understand, it's just that initial.
Right.
And I think the way I understand it, it nails down cost rather than me throwing numbers out.
Well, what he'll do is he'll come up with a cost estimate of everything, and he's spoken to me about this after he had spoken to you. He's done a building very similar to what you're asking about, size, all the equipment and everything, and I can't remember whether it was Muscatine or Maquoketa, one of those two cities, but that building ran a little over $1 million to construct to the specifications.
He mentioned that building also, I think it was Muscatine.
Yeah, $1 million.
Which my initial thought, yeah, not gonna be that, but
Yeah, well,
I don't know what's in that building, how big it is, but it is.
no, that's.
I
something
think
that
it was over 7,500 square feet.
Yeah, I don't know what, he said it was a very comparable building to what you were talking about, size and different amenities that you wanted in it, and security levels and all of this stuff. And a lot of that is what sends the cost way up, you know, so. But yeah, if you work with him pretty closely, he's probably going to give an architectural services agreement, which is similar to an engineering services agreement like we do with Calhoun Burns and like we've done with him in the past. And it'll be a percentage of what he feels the overall cost of the final project would be. So.
And we've worked with him for years. I mean, even before we've gotten this far on this courthouse project's been on the list long before my time.
Yeah.
So it's taken a while to come to this.
Right.
We're under public comments, but I just didn't know if we needed to put it on a future agenda to
It'll-
discuss it,
Yeah,
so
we
whether
did
I
talk
should go ahead
about
and
it.
kick this off.
This can be our in-place tour of the law center.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
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 Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to get out there sometime and tour then.
Okay.
I don't know.
And
Where do we go?
I can send you the initial letter that sent me by email, if that's what you want, but we can do all that if you set it on the agenda.
Yeah, we need to put it on the agenda, but yeah.
All right, we have on with us this morning, Anonymous, who is on with us. We also have Tom Drish. We also have Connor Everett from the radio station. Do we have any comments from any of the three of you?
Yes, I wanted just to ask very quickly. So that letter that you guys got, or that contract from Chauncey, is that going to be available through the auditor's office, or is that something you guys are going to review further?
We haven't acted on it yet, so it's.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the agenda is discussed, so we could talk about some of these points.
Okay, that's
Yes, when we act on it, it will be available.
Okay.
Okay. Kelly, speeds.
Yes, so I
You wanna
understand
come
that,
Please.
I left to go do a birth certificate and then you've already passed the third reading of the ordinance
Right,
for the UTV.
right.
Okay, just be prepared to change all that when November gets here because the DNR has not given their final ruling on all of the what they're requiring with this law.
Mhm.
So I've got a lot more questions here that might, answers from DNR that might stir up other questions for you on all the ordinance things that were going on.
Have you talked to Pat about them?
I didn't,
Okay.
no, I just found out a couple of them. So, I mean, they're still feeding us information. They
Right,
didn't
it's
give us
all brand
anything
new, it's
right
all
on here,
brand
so
new.
we may be looking at redoing the ordinance again when they get done with all of their,
That's only if they
Q&A.
change something that they've got in the state.
no,
Ordinance,
they
so
haven't
maybe
decided
because-
what they're completely on yet. They haven't decided how they're gonna word all this stuff.
Right.
So they won't until at least
But this-
October, November.
The state law has already been signed by the governor, so what they have to do is figure out the rules that they're gonna go by after it's all
Right.
said and done,
Right.
which they don't ever do. They change things and then make you scramble afterwards, so,
Right, so I just wanted you to be aware that we might have to change something later on.
okay.
So, because
Yeah, changing one section is easier than changing the whole document, so. We'll be apprised of that then, so work with Pat to try to get some of these things that you said you gotten from the DNR already.
I have been working with him. I worked with him on getting the ordinance redone too and giving him
Yeah.
a lot of the facts and stuff from the
Yeah.
state office, but I just be aware that it could change and, you know,
Okay,
Thank you.
because
yeah. Yeah, we started our meeting at 9. That threw a lot of people off. And
well, I had to
first
go
thing
do
was the
a,
9 o'clock public hearing.
I had to go do a birth certificate, so.
Yeah.
And then I came back and it was done.
Yeah, well. Okay, so we're done with public comments then. The next item on the list is allow claims and approve
Do we have
reports,
any?
but we have not had those submitted to us yet.
We just need a few minutes to look through them.
Yeah, and we'll need a few minutes to look through it before we do any. And again, we aren't going to go tour the law center this morning. We'll postpone that to another day. So we're good there. Okay.
Thanks, Shannon.
Today's for the 6th.
It's so quiet.
Yeah. Study hall.
Move to allow claims and pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to allow claims and approve reports from Grish, a second from Sandquist. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. So that concludes the business that we have before us this morning. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Motion adjourned.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion from Sandquist to adjourn, a second from Grish. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning.